Welcome back. This is the fourth episode of the Painted Privacy video series, and I'm the artificial avatar of Luca Bolognini, European data lawyer and essayist. In this episode, we'll talk about war and being left in peace and poverty porn. Peace caresses war with an olive branch, almost as if to win him over with her goodness, in the delicate 18th century allegory by Pompeo Battoni that you can admire in the lower right corner. From a macrocosmic perspective, the right to be left in peace concerns peoples and nations. War is a tragedy without exception, and what is happening in the world during these months is terrible. Let's give shelter and aid to those who are suffering and in search of refuge and raise our voices as one determined and united to convince the warriors to make peace. The Italian translation of the formula right to be let alone, the modern privacy of 1890, is right to be left in peace. From this microcosmic perspective, the legal scope is individual, personal, not collective, general, national. And yet I find it telling that we are still talking about peace. The etymology of peace is closely related to that of pact. It has to do with agreement, connection, and union, not with absence, closure, or solitude. Privacy in the sense of being left alone, free from other people's invasions into our personal sphere, is the paradoxical effect of a relationship, a contact, a bond with someone other than ourselves. Peace is a legal contract, but also a human contact. Justice and peace will kiss, says Psalm 85:11 of the Hebrew and Christian Bible, as depicted in this splendid painting from my personal collection by Alessandro Varotari, also known as Padovanino, that you can see in the lower left corner. Mulling this over, another thought comes to mind. Protecting confidentiality, our private sphere, and our personal data in its contemporary forms serves to prevent and defend ourselves from small or large-scale individual wars. And yet, on a scale that is not generalized but nonetheless widespread, vast, multiple, and plural, micro-privacy protection measures can, more or less incidentally, slow down or even prevent macro-incursion attempts. This is the case with widespread resistance to cyber attacks, also of military origin, when those attacks are directed against public or private systems already robustly protected by security antibodies prepared for mere compliance purposes. Changing the subject but still thinking about war and human dignity, you will recognize the image in the upper left corner as the Venetian mural attributed to Banksy. It has to do with rights and the law for several reasons. It represents a migrant child holding a neon pink flare in the wind. At high tide, the child is partially submerged. The mural is withstanding the elements, but for how much longer? Anxiety about the precarious destiny of the artwork becomes a metaphor on the destiny of the migrants and the alarm over their human rights. It is said that the artist, with this symbolic intervention, was taking an environmentalist dig at the permissive regulatory policy that allows cruise ships to pass through and dock in the San Marco Lagoon. Maybe so. Immediately after its disconcerting appearance, the Venice Public Prosecutor's Office opened an investigation into the mural for defacement. The case was dismissed because it was not defacement at all, but the exact opposite. The artwork had actually increased the value of that dilapidated building. It is well known that Banksy is an undisputed master of pseudonymization, but the links between the artist's blitz on Venice and the world of law and privacy to some extent do not end there. It seems that the building chosen by the street artist belonged, at least back then tempus regit actum, to a family of lawyers. Returning to the here and now, it just so happens that the spray-painted mural is located between Campo San Pantalone and Campo Santa Margherita, a few meters from the auditorium of the Ca' Foscari University, venue for an important part of the Venice Privacy Symposium, the international conference held every year in the lagoon. It keeps us company. Banksy's migrant child is a reminder of the double standards that often apply to the protection of people's privacy and dignity in wealthy nations on one side and in poor nations torn apart by war and forced migration on the other. The Italian Data Protection Authority, in the last years, reprimanded media outlets for not paying proper respect to images of children involved in the war in Ukraine. We consider it self-evident that our children's faces should be hidden in newspapers, and yet we think nothing of fundraising campaigns, appeals, or news stories. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, which publish images of desperate, malnourished children, of people amid the ruins of far-off places. Far off for the well-off, that is, putting their faces on display with no concern for their dignity. And yet these are people, just like us. They really exist even if they are far away. This too is a form of discrimination, referred to in slang as poverty porn. Thanks for following this fourth episode of Painted Law, and see you next time with Luca Bolognini's artificial avatar.